joking with Britt coming in. I mean, this is softball weather, right? I mean, y'all just expect this when you
Typical.
get started. Yeah.
You know, I'm really happy. This is the first year that we've started before classes started.
Okay.
Typically, we wait till classes start, and this year we decided to bring them back early and get some practices in. Our classes are getting to the point where kids are in and out of practice so much it's hard to get them together as a group. So we decided to get 2 or 3 practices in this year before we started classes, and the weather's been pretty good this week overall. I think next week would have been a terrible week to start. Right. So yeah, it's a fun time of the year for us, and typical cold weather comes in when softball starts. So
I mean, you've gone through it before, but some key pieces to replace that kind of thing. I mean, you've got a good mix though coming back too.
Yeah, we did. And you're going to always typically, if you're through attrition, you're going to lose a few and hopefully replace them, and that dynamic is getting more and more difficult to manage with the portal and,
right.
and kids leaving and kids coming in. But I think we're going to miss a few, but we've got some we're really excited about replacing. We lost our entire outfield, but we have I still think one of the most talented outfields that we've had with the ones that are replacing them. So I'm excited about that. Just take a little time, need to be a little patient, and I think our infield is going to eventually be very strong, one of the best that we've had here. So a lot of promise, but we have to be patient with it and let it develop.
Kind of on that note, big piece missing in the circle, and then Dariana kind of coming back. What have you kind of seen from your staff?
Yeah, I've kind of been conditioned not to get too high or too low about a pitcher being here or not being here through injuries. We've not had Dariana in postseason yet since she's been here, and we're expecting this time last year for her to be our ace, and we ended up not having her. So to have her back, and that's exciting. To have lost a couple of arms is, brings you off of that high a little bit, but the key is that we have to be patient. And I told the team the other day in the meeting that we were going to get punched in the gut a time or two as we try to develop our bullpen. I think our defense again will be ready to go early on and play at a high level, but we've got to maintain our emotional status to understand that it is a process, and we use the phrase pitch by committee, but we can't overpitch any of our pitchers. We've got several that are coming off of injuries and got a transfer in that we don't know a ton about, and Lily Walker, but high expectations there. So we're going to truly pitch by committee early, 2-3 innings here and there, and try to see what they can do and not overuse them, and give Dari time to develop her game again and get back her velocity that she had lost a little bit of it, but we're seeing it come back.
Who's behind Dari? Who are some of the other pitchers kind of in that mix?
Yeah, so Dari, Lily Walker be the first lefty we've had on our staff in a while, and great command of her pitches. She's going to win some big games for us. Lexi Warnicki. Lexi was a great pitcher in high school, and went through a surgery last year to relieve some pressure in her forearm area. Feels good right now, but not 100%. So we've got to give her some time. She's fully released. And Sadie Ross, a kid from Colorado that won 3 state championships out there, that has had 3 ACL tears. So we're hoping that the percentages are in our favor now with her, because she's surely running out of injuries to have. I need to knock on wood when I say that, but great changeup and a kid that can mix it a little bit. But again, it's going to take time. She's not. She was just released over the Christmas break fully, so you can't expect those kids to go in there and throw 100 pitches early on. So you're going to have to keep their pitch count at a manageable level in order to develop them without hurting them more.
How do you think Shays managed the hype, the expectations that come with all the preseason accolades?
Yeah, that's a. Last year I would have told you going into the season that there was that she could handle it like a champ, and then I felt that she felt it a little bit early on last year, but then got in control of it. I think the fact that she entered last year with similar expectations and eventually came around, The biggest thing is probably not how she's handling it, is the fact that she's not seeing a whole lot of pitches because of that. So it's going to depend once again on who's around her. And we have one very special hitter in Taria Coleman that you'll hear her name a lot this year, that is very capable of punishing a pitcher that pitches around her. So I'm excited about that. We have a couple others. Carrington Dawson is another one, a freshman that's going to be a big name before she leaves here, and I think she can do some damage as well. So I'm excited about our offense around her, and I think that's going to be the key more so than how she handles the hype. I think she's seasoned and has heard enough of that she has bigger goals, she thinks, and we agree that she's capable of playing ball after she leaves Baylor. So she's worked really hard in the off season. I think she's in the best shape of her career, and it'll be fun to see how she handles this season.
Do you expect Presley to stay at shortstop, and can she repeat kind of what she did last year?
We've got some options there, but number one, we'll go initially to looking at giving Amber a chance back at that spot. That combination was leading the nation in double plays, but we're also working Presley over there just in case it takes a little longer for Amber to get her game back. She was outstanding at shortstop when she was there. The two have played together in travel ball before they even got to college, and that's a combination that works. But we know confidently that Presley can play any position on the infield, so we'll just keep that in our back pocket and see how Amber's game progresses. Eventually, we probably think that's the way certainly we're going to start, but how it materializes we don't know right now, and it just really depends on the health of Amber's knee and her range and how she handles balls over there. So she looked really good yesterday in practice. After I was so sore yesterday, I couldn't hardly coach. So to see her come out there after a day of practice, of being on the field 5 hours, and come back out there and move as well as she did, I was happy with the way Amber looked. But yeah, we know what Presley's capable of doing, so it gives us some options.
Where does Coleman come from?
She's transferring from Houston.
She's the catcher, is that right?
Catcher, third base.
Okay.
So we have 4 catchers this year. She'll see time behind the plate. She'll probably see, I anticipate her seeing more time at third.
Okay.
But she can do both. She's nationally recognized behind the plate as well. So you'll see her there. But I like her at third. I like the way she plays third. I think she goes glove side really well. She's deceivingly fast. Played leadoff, believe it or not. Although she can hit the ball 300 feet, she hit leadoff for Houston quite a bit last year, and she's a scary threat offensively, both with her speed on the bases and with her power, ability to lay down a bunt. Yeah, she's just an athlete.
What do you think a 1-2 punch with her and Shay can do for this lineup?
Yeah, pretty exciting. I don't think Shays had a hitter like her, to her, consistent ability and with the respect. She signed with Oklahoma out of high school, had a year there before transferring to Houston. So she's got that name already, the respect, and I don't know that Shays had the privilege of having that kind of that potentially consistency with power and threat and kind of a pick your poison type of philosophy that coaches are going to have between those two. So if you do have them at 3 and 4, which I would anticipate early on, finding that 5-hole hitter will be important, and we've got a few options there with Abby Flores and Carrington Dawson and a couple others that could hit in the DP position.
You talked about having to replace the whole outfield. Who do you look at now as maybe your top candidates?
So Brooklyn Carter is transferred from Washington. Will be most probably our starting center fielder. She hit leadoff for the University of Washington, stole about 25, 26 bases. For them last year, has played in the World Series at that level 2 years ago. Plays an outstanding outfield. So excited about what she can bring us. Ashlyn Walkendorf is one of our vocal leaders, and just to go get her run through a wall, I could see her starting and playing in the right field position. Again, I'm speculating right now because there's plenty of time for movement on our depth chart, but Ashlyn is you know, she's a good player, a really good player, and an excellent base runner, and just plays the game the way I love it on the bases. And then probably Carrington Dawson would be the left field candidate right now. She's a great outfielder as well, outstanding, has great speed, but she's also just give her a little time and she's going to show up big on the offensive side as well.
We've covered a lot of high school softball here, so we know Savannah POG pretty well. I know she's young, but do you see a role for her?
Yeah, she's Savannah is the utility player. She can play infield, outfield, and I think she comes to practice every day with the mentality that if I get my foot in the door, I'm gonna go for it. So she's earned my confidence. Not that I didn't have it to start with, but she's coming into, you know, a defense that you know, fairly well established. So it's going to take a little time for her. Every game that she gets in is going to be valuable to her progression, her growth. But she certainly, when you start talking about, I think one of the problems we've had in this program over the years is we could put a good 9 or 10 out there, but we didn't have a lot of depth and quality depth. So whenever you lost a player and had to throw someone in off the bench, it was a little bit of a regression. And she's one I'm confident in, as well as Gigi Lindsay, and you know, even returners like Carolyn Rowat, Emery McDonough. We've got some kids that we can throw in. If early on, you're going to play a lot of kids anyway, so we'll get to see how they play in you know, bigger settings.
You talked about them having to be patient. Do you have to tell yourself to be patient too, knowing that, like you said, you're probably going to take someone?
Yeah, no, I think I think I know the importance of pitching in this game, and I think if our defense was breaking down and not playing well defense early, I'd probably panic a little bit more, and I wouldn't panic at all. I would just be a little bit more anxious. But knowing that we have a golden arm with Dari Orm, if she comes around, I think management, you know, is key with her. So losing a few games early, you know, and you can go back as recent as last year and see that, hey, the first part of the year didn't look anything like the last part of the year. So if we can keep that in mind and know that those losses have to be quality losses and we have to fail forward to be where we want to be in the end, I think keeping all that in perspective is fairly easy to me.
How important was that late season run last year and what you did in the tournament to this year and what you want to accomplish?
That's a thought that I had coming in this morning. As a matter of fact, I was thinking if we're 5 games from not being above 500, which would have been a complete different season if we hadn't had the opportunity to go on and play. So at one point in time, our season could have gone either way. We're hanging on by a thread, but we held on. And the fact that we did, we ended up feeling really good about ourselves when we finished, with a lot of players coming back. So I think all these accolades, you can say what you want about them, but it's just preseason awards and respect. But for the psyche of the team, I think it's important. You know, if you're looking at a rebuilding year because, hey, we got to completely overhaul this team because we didn't make it to the NCAAs last year, versus 10 feet from a walk-off home run with Govan to going to the World Series for the 5th time, then, you know, you feel pretty good about yourself. So it's the psychological part of it's important, and I think will pay huge dividends, and it'll give us a little more rope before we do panic if we start a slide, which we will at some point in time. We're not, you know, this is not a team that's going to play, you know, consistently uphill the whole time. We're going to have some regression, and that's part of growing and developing and regrouping and finding out what you're made of. And I welcome that. I just want to make sure that we turn each loss into a win by making the corrections and not panicking. And I think last year will play a big role in doing that.